I'm Sarah Cowgill, along with Graham Noble, Joe Schaefer, Jim Fight, and Dave Patterson. And this is the Conservative Five, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. The Walt Disney Company is finally facing the music after bowing to cultural wokeness, which all but destroyed their brand. Well, their bottom line is subterranean. Executives have finally admitted, and I'm going to quote their own report, its controversial political and social agenda, end quote, has tanked its stock and angered shareholders. Imagine that. Company is now even reporting a decline in licensing revenue from products associated with Star Wars, Frozen, Toy Story, all iconic brands. Did Disney, to change the bombing of brands, Bud Light itself, Mr. Fight?
I think it's fair to say that Bud Light Disneyed itself. To flip the script a little bit, Bud Light tanking, that was a huge, spectacular thing all at once. But Disney's been at this for years, and they've been paying the price for years, albeit a bit more slowly and gradually over time. Disney's been woke for years. You've had openly LGBTQ characters in here in recent years that have pushed more and more families away from the brand. Before even that, you had so-called queer-coded characters where, they weren't openly gay, but you could certainly interpret them as such. And lo and behold, they were animated.
Give me an example of that. You said
okay,
queer-coated?
Coded. So basically,
Oh, okay.
the idea was in the 1930s, there was a set of rules that come out that that banned you from being able to show, to use the language from the rule, perverse stuff like homosexuality. But anyways, you weren't allowed to have openly gay characters, basically. And what that led to was gay writers and animators doing what was called queer coding, where they would write a gay character and then just never have it confirmed. Scar from The Lion King, Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, Ursula from The Little Mermaid.
Wasn't Gaston the big guy with the gun? And
right, and then they did, yes, and all right, and then his little buddy LeFou, something like that, was super dedicated to him, and then they had that big singing sequence where they had this song about how manly and awesome Gaston was. They're there, like, look at Scar. Like, if you watch The Lion King and you look at Scar, if you said to yourself, you know what, Simba's uncle is gay, then congratulations, you took exactly what the gay animator who animated Scar wanted you to take from that.
Okay.
That's not like homophobic or anything.
Way too deep. This is way too deep.
That's legitimately, like, that's a thing.
To rethink this one.
They've been doing it for years. Disney doesn't officially sponsor Disney Gay Days, which for some reason was hard for me to spit out. But anyways, they don't officially sponsor it, but it's been going on since 1991. And guess what the company does? Every year leading up to it, they launch a themed product line. So they're certainly capitalizing on it. Hell, even back to Bambi, 1942. How many vegans and PETA members over the last 80 years were only that way because at a formative age, they were taught by Disney that people who kill animals are evil?
I'm not going to argue the whole Bambi thing because no.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, you kill squirrels, so
Disney's been at this. I kill deer too. I make the point that I don't kill Bambi's mom. Bambi's mom's been dead for 80 years, but but anyways, look, they've been at this for generations. It's just getting progressively more and more open, and they've been pushing away family-centered, family values-centered consumers.
Okay, yeah,
but this time, just not in as large a scale as Bud Light here recently.
For goodness sakes, gay families aren't going to go constantly. If they lose their family dynamic, which is what the park was, themed over, and the whole enterprise. Brand. Joe, I don't see Disney clawing its way back to the top. Do you?
First of all, I thought what Jim just said was very interesting, and we could talk for like 2 hours on that, but I assume we don't want to do that. I do think that Walt Disney was a genius. The films he made, the things he had. Snow White, I've heard it called a fairy tale for adults. Kids love it, but even as an adult, you can just enjoy it just as a classic thing. Disney has been so far removed from that kind of quality. And I think Bob Iger is just this hero made with clay feet. He took a brand, the name Disney, kind of like a private equity thing. You get hold of a very valuable brand, and he was able to blow it up and make a lot of money for a lot of years based on a quality that he had nothing to do with. So he was basically riding the fumes of Disney's past, and he made a lot of money doing it, but the quality suffered because if all you think about is making money instead of actually making a good film, it's only a matter of time before the quality starts hurting the bottom line. So Bob Iger is not this financial genius he's made out to be, in my opinion. He took something and he rode it as far as he can, but he rode that horse into the ground. Somebody said this about Boeing, I thought was fascinating. Boeing used to make great airplanes. Then they became a company that's about making money. So they've got these great money people, these great financial people. They really know how to turn, but they don't know how to make airplanes anymore. That's the problem with Disney. Bob Iger is not going to solve anything with financial wizardry. Get back to making quality films. I don't even think Hollywood's capable of it anymore, but good luck. See if you can do that. If not, Disney's riding on fumes, and eventually it's going to run out of fumes. It's going to die.
Well, Dave, how does this organization now go back to just being, fun and entertainment versus political activism?
Well, I think anything is possible that they would actually achieve. Back to their roots. But in order to do that, the Disney brand has to be totally separated from the element of society that they've chosen to associate themselves with. They have to be separated from any woke influence. Advocates for gender confusion, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and all that stuff, are demonstrably a small segment of American life, and unfortunately, with a disproportionate influence. And it needs to be put in its proper context, and it needs to be, basically out of American family life. Disney has an opportunity to be able to do that. Disney management, first of all, might start with a public announcement that, Mickey Mouse is a male and Minnie is female, and there isn't any in between. Okay, the jury's out on Goofy, but Tinkerbell is a she.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Maybe
I don't know
Tinkerbell's
that that's
back
the case in the latest iteration of it.
I think when I was
Target
young,
makes that tuck away swimsuit thing. Maybe
I thought
stuff.
Tinkerbell was hot when I was young. No, I do think that Disney has an opportunity to right the wrongs and to get back on track. I mean, in the Pentagon, there's a saying that it takes as much effort to ditch a lousy idea as it does to promote a good one. And I think that Disney is going to have to exert a lot of influence. They have cachet amongst the American people, and I don't know how long that's going to last, but they should use that portal of influence to get back on track. And if nothing else, they're going to have to, or they're going to be sold.
I can't help but feel like Dave's little Pentagon expression describes the last century of all of American life, basically.
True.
Yep, pretty much.
I forgot what I was going to ask. So
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Hey, Graham, does this work both ways?
I got some Bud Lights for us.
It seems that when companies align themselves with the progressive left, it goes spectacularly bad.
365 of womanhood.
Or when this left goes after, like Chick-fil-A. But when corporate aligns with the right, does that happen? I mean, do we have the same kind of backlash against, more traditional corporate-run businesses? Am I missing something?
No. There is a huge disparity between the way that cancel culture, if you like, or the culture of boycotts. There's a huge disparity between the success of it when it's driven by the right or driven by the left. And here's the thing that, the first way to explain that is by picking up exactly what Dave said, because he made the point that I was going to make, which is that the progressive left, these extremists, these lunatics that are trying to destroy American culture, and they deliberately are trying to destroy it. There's no question about it. These people are actually small in number. They represent only a slice of America, not even the majority of average Americans who just happen to be Democrat voters. They are not even on board with this stuff. They're not even paying attention to it. When some corporation, some kind of big box retailer or whatever other company it is, comes out, expresses some kind of support for traditional values or what we might describe as conservative values, or comes out as being, say, pro-gun or anti-abortion or something like that, the progressives scream boycott, boycott, boycott. But the problem with that is, one, though they have a very outsized influence in terms of their media exposure, in reality, there is a limited number of them. And so, in the entire country, because not everybody who votes Democrat suddenly runs out and says, okay, I'm boycotting this company. It's just the progressives that do it. And so you've got, maybe a few 100,000 people all over the country that have decided to boycott, whatever company it is. But then one thing that conservatives do that progressives don't do is that conservatives then, when they hear about this boycott, they will jump out, they will run out to support that company, as they did with Chick-fil-A a few years ago. Remember that, when the progressives were trying to boycott Chick-fil-A? You drove past any Chick-fil-A and there was a line out the door and around the entire building of people going in to eat there. Now, on the other side, there are a lot more conservatives in this country still than there are progressives, by quite an order of magnitude. So when a company like Disney or Bud Light or someone comes out with some ridiculous kind of progressive cultural stance or social stance, when conservatives decide to boycott those companies, we're talking about millions and millions of Americans boycotting them. We've got the numbers, and that's why progressive boycotts of I don't want to say right-wing companies, but companies that express some kind of alignment with conservative values. When progressives boycott those companies, it doesn't work out because they don't have the numbers, and because there's a backlash by conservatives. When conservatives decide to boycott a company, boy, that company's going to lose a lot of money, and there is no backlash by the progressives. Progressives aren't rushing out saying, oh, I'm going to support that company now because conservatives are boycotting them. It doesn't happen in the same way. So there is a huge disparity. Yes, Sarah.
I hate to say this, but I think that, the death by 1,000 cuts, I think that last shiv came from Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida. And I might be wrong, but I kind of give him a little bit of credit for pushing this over the edge. Anybody want to argue with that?
Well, normally I'm completely opposed to any kind of government intervention in anything a private business does. So, kind of DeSantis jumping into that whole fight with Disney actually kind of irritated me a little bit. But then
Didn't
again,
Disney initiate the fight?
But then again, well, yes, they did. Yes, they did. But,
So,
I think, governments should stay out of private business altogether. However, in this case, because Disney does have a special, they are given special concessions by the state of Florida. So for that reason, I think, okay, yeah, DeSantis was kind of justified in jumping in then, because he could actually say, well, hold on a minute, our state gives you, you've got this special district that is pretty much your own little country, and we gave you that, and now you're trying to tell us how to do things. Oh, no. So so to an extent, I think DeSantis was correct. As much as I hate government intervention in anything a private business does, I think in this instance, I think, yeah, he kind of was correct, really, to jump in there and fight back against them.
Yeah, Jimmy.
Here in the real world, we call that biting the hand that feeds you. And if you want to put your money where your mouth is, that's fine, but use your money, not the taxpayers' money.
Right.
Well, that's
right.
pretty smart.
Yeah.
I think that we may
Jim,
have.
I could have just said that instead of just wasting all those words that I just
Well, yeah, you used a lot of words, but I like those words, Graham. You did a great job there.
The summary wouldn't have meant near as much without the full version before it.
He dove right in there like he was going at it.
He was ready for that.
What do you got, Dave? You were
using Graham's calculus there. I thought that we might have a new stock market barometer here, and that whenever Target comes out with a new woke idea, that immediately short their stock.
Well, maybe that's a sure sign of things to come if people don't stay in their own lane, so to speak. Well, it's been a tough year for the Magic Kingdom, but maybe this wake-up call on being woke will help avoid the next cheese-laden mousetrap. Thanks, panel. That's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform, YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble. We're on them all. And remember to hit libertynation.com for all the latest news. I'm your host, Sarah Cowgill. Thanks for joining us today for Free Thinking, Free Speech, libertynation.com.
Don't get caught up in the media madness. Join our movement for free thinking and free speech at libertynation.com. Publishing news and analysis 24/7 with original articles by our team of authors who tell it like it is. Join us each week for online TV shows, The Uprising Podcast, and Liberty Nation Radio. We believe in free thinking and free speech. We are libertynation.com.